Alrighty, we're going to continue with the percent review. This is percent review part 2. And we're going to start with number 16. Louisa sells stuffed animals. She sells a stuffed elephant for $34.90, and the sales tax is 9% of the sales price. About how much is the sales tax on the elephant? So that about, I really like that word right now because that means I don't have to be exact. So what I'm going to do is change that to $35, change that to about 10%. So approximately 10% of $35 is going to be my sales tax. So I'm going to say 10% of 35 is 3.5, and in dollars and cents, it's $3.50. So don't forget what you're talking about here. We are talking about money, so we wouldn't leave it at 3.5. We would change that to money terms. Okay, number 17. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the United States population was projected to be 293,655,404 people on July 1st, 2004. The two most populous states were California, with a population of 35 million plus, and Texas, with a population of 22 million plus. About, what percent of the U.S. population lived in California or Texas? So we've got a total population. This is your total population. Here is California, here's Texas, and then it says round your answer to the nearest percent. We want to know about what percent of the entire population in the country lived in California or Texas. So I'm so thankful for the word about, so I can just kind of estimate here. So I'm going to say about 22 million for Texas. Is that 22 million? And California, I'm going to round up to 36. So California is at 36 million. So together, that makes 58 million. Out of the total up here, goodness, let's go ahead and round that up to 300. How about we do that? 300 million, and I'm going to change that 58 to 60 million. So California and Texas have approximately 60 million out of the total population of 300 million. So that I know, if I take some zeros away, I got 6 over 30. I know that's 1/5, and then that changes to 20%, and it says about what percent, so that's my answer. Do you see how easy? It was a whole bunch of yucky numbers, too many big numbers, but it says about, so then I can estimate, make it easy. 22 plus the 36 was 58. Make that easy. Make it 60, because 60 goes with 300 really well. And I went ahead and rounded the big number up too. So we can round, so we can just say, well, about 20% of the country lives in California or Texas, the two biggest states. So I guess that was as far as population goes. All right, so that's good for estimating. It's a very important skill to have. We use it every day when we go shopping. All right, number 18, find 30% of 70. Now, you notice it doesn't say about or approximate or estimate. So we're going to look for the exact percentage of 70. So I'm going to use my proportion, 30% over 100. And the total is 70, so that goes on the bottom, and I'm looking for the part. What is the 30%? That's what I'm looking for, of 70. So I'm going to do my cross product. 70 times 30 is 2100, and then 100 times x is also going to be 2100. So 100 times x is 2100, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 100, and I'm going to get 21. That's easy. Now, I'm going to go back now and see if that makes sense. About 1/3 of 70, does that make sense that it's 21? I could have also done the 10% rule. 10% of 70 is 7, and do that 3 times. That's 21. So, yeah, it all makes sense. Make sure you're using the big picture here, and your answer makes some sense. 70% of 90, excuse me. Let's go ahead and do the 10% rule because it makes it real easy. I'm going to do it 7 times. 10% of 90 is 9. And then I'm going to do that 7 times. So 63 is my answer. Excuse me. All right. Alaska is the largest state in the U.S. and has a surface area of approximately 588,000 square miles. Indiana has a surface area that is approximately 6% of Alaska. What is the approximate surface area of Indiana? Here's my bottom line question. My bottom line question is Indiana is 6% of Alaska, so 6% of 588,000. That's what I'm looking for. So I can do my proportion. I could do percent over 100 equals the part, or the is over the of. And the of is the 588,000. So my 100% goes with Alaska. That's Alaska. That's their population. Or I'm sorry, we're talking about surface area this time. And my percentage is the part. So 6% is not very much. Indiana is going to be tiny. So I'm going to actually do it a different way. You could do it this way. Do your cross products and then divide by 100. But I'm going to do it the other way that we just learned. I'm going to do 588,000. Multiply it by the decimal equivalent of 6%, which is 0.06. So that is I'm going to move it over twice. I don't need to do my rows of zeros here. So I'm going to move it over twice. So my answer is 35,280 square miles. And I guess that makes some sense in relation to Alaska at 588,000. So yeah, that makes some sense. All right, number 21. A jar is filled with buttons of various colors. If the jar has a total of 420 buttons, 85% of them are green. How many green? So bottom line, 85% of 420 is what I'm looking for. Make sure you understand what the question is asking. 85% of 420. Now, of means multiply, so I could do 420 times the decimal equivalent of 85%, or I could do my percent over 100 equals is over of, or part of the whole. That would go on the bottom, and 85 would go over 100. I'm going to go ahead and multiply by the decimal. And I get, I'm going to move it over twice, 357 green buttons. Make sure it makes sense. 85% is a lot. It's a substantial amount of the buttons in there. 357 out of 420, that sounds like 85%. I'm good. All right. Iris wants to buy 2 necklaces, one for her sister and one for herself. The necklace for her sister costs $42. The necklace for herself costs $28. The sales tax is 8%. Find the total cost of the purchases, including sales tax. That means I'm going to have to add up those necklaces and the tax to see how much she's going to pay at the register. We need to know how to do that. So let's first add up the necklaces, the total cost. So 42 plus the 28, that gives us $70. So $70 before taxes. Now I'm going to have to find 8% of 70. I'm going to go ahead and do the decimal equivalent again, multiply. I'm going to move it over twice. So $5.60 is my tax. Add that to the $70, so my total is $75.60. That's how much she's going to pay. Now, you get your answer. Just make sure when you're doing this, make sure that your answer makes sense. Obviously, it's going to be bigger than $70. Hello? Because $70, that's before tax. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than the $70 before taxes. Taxes is just 8%, so it's not going to be that much more. All right, number 23. 39 is what percent of 80? All right, in this one, I'm definitely going to use my proportion. 39 is what percent of 80? Or I could just say 39 out of 80. What's that percent? I could do top in, bottom out. Or I could do my percent over 100 equals is over of. I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and just do 39 divided by 80. 80 won't go into 39, but it will go into 390, and that will be not quite 5 times. So that's going to be 4 times 320. It's going to give me 70. I'm going to add a 0 and keep going. 80 goes, well, 8 goes into 70 how many times? 8 times, and that's 640. Then I've got 600. 80 goes into 600 7 times. That's 560. That gives me, oops, I'm going way down here. 80 into 400 gives me 5 times, and I'm done. There is no remainder after that. Now, it says what percent? 0.48, that's less than 1%, so I forgot to do something. Oh, yeah, got to change my decimal to a percent by moving it 2 to the right. 48 point, okay, it says nearest tenth, so here's my tenth place right here. Now I got to look at the next decimal place. Does that 5 make that 7 go up or stay the same? 5 or more, raise the score, so it's going to be 48.8% for my answer. Does that make sense? 39, what's half of 80? What's 50% of 80? 40. So 39 is a little bit less. That makes sense. Yes, use your common sense, please. All right, I'm going to stop the video here and continue part 3 on the next video, and we'll finish it out.